Chambers of the Occult may contain content that might not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Chambers of the Occult. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jay.
Hi, I'm Kai.
Hi, I'm Alexis.
And we have some stories for you today because we want to share crime and spooky stuff.
We're really excited to get started, and we hope you enjoy as well.
Yeah, so the way we have it set up, it's that we'll start off with two stories of paranormal and true crime, and then we have a third bonus story that will be either one. I'll be telling the first story, which is true crime, and then Alexis.
I'm going to be telling the paranormal.
Yep, and then Kai will wrap us up with the mystery story, which could be either one.
I think I'm kind of feeling some true crime here for our third story.
Boom. Hey, it's going to be a nice little true crime, paranormal, true crime. Okay, so my story, it's of the Voodoo Killer Chef. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
I never have, actually.
Okay, so her name, I don't know. I've never met someone with this name, and I think it's kind of nice, sweet, or like just different. Her name is Anjette Lyles. And Anjette was born on August 23, 1925 in Macon, Georgia. Now, Annette was the only daughter growing up with two brothers. So family of five, parents, two brothers, and then Anjette. And her parents were Jetta Walkins and William Donovan. Now, they owned a produce. There we go. A produce company. And she was known for her pretty appearance and charismatic personality that allowed her to influence others easily. Once again, 1920s, people are going to be all about the physical aspects of people.
Got it.
She was described as pretty and possessed a magnetic personality that allowed her to easily influence and attract people. Now, before her marriage, Anjette's life was the quiet, typical life for a young woman in the mid-20th century America. And it all starts on October of 1947 when she married Ben F. Lyles Jr. He was a pilot during World War II. And in the early 1940s, she would quickly discover that he was an alcoholic. So after they got married, she would discover that. It's like, oh, guess my husband likes to drink.
That's a nice surprise.
Because it's the 1940s, and I can't do anything about that. They had a daughter. So they had two daughters, actually. So their first daughter was named Marcia.
Okay.
And I couldn't find an exact date for her birth, but it's an estimate that she was born in 1949. Now, after they got married, Anjette had become involved with the family business, which was a restaurant that her husband's mom, her mother-in-law, ran. The restaurant was known as Lyle's Restaurant, and it was well established, and it was popular. It was a popular spot in the Macon community. Now, the restaurant. What am I saying now? No, the restaurant was run by Ben, but it belonged to his mom, Julia. Julia is her mother-in-law.
Okay.
And well, there was a time that Julia needed like surgery, so she had to take some bed rest, and Ben started to run the business, and Jet was still involved. But during that time, they discovered that Ben wasn't really good at running business. You put an alcoholic to run a business, and I don't think you're going to get anything good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then, what was it? Oh, in May 1951, so a couple years after, 3 years after they had their first daughter, Marcia, they had a second daughter, and her name is Carla.
Okay.
And soon after that, Ben, the husband, crashed the family car. And to make things worse, he sold the family restaurant for $2,500.
Wait, sorry, how much?
$2,500. Which,
wow,
I don't know how much that was in the 1950s.
But it feels like not a lot.
Yeah. And it also feels kind of like a stab on the back because it's like, here's the daughter. Oh, crashed the car.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell the restaurant.
Okay, so they got married 1947, right?
Yeah.
And then they had their first child 49.
Yes.
So she marries him, finds out he's an alcoholic, and then continues to have a child with him. Yeah.
Then again, think about it. It's like the 1940s. What can a woman do?
I guess you're right.
Like, she discovered he was an alcoholic, and she's like, I guess this is who I married.
Just make do with it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't like, she didn't keep quiet or anything like that, because like she made it very like obvious that she was enraged once he sold the restaurant, because she got involved in it. She actually liked helping people as a server and like running the place.
Yeah. I mean, like, something you care about, it just like sold off suddenly without your knowledge, and then like on top of that for not even that much money either.
No, I'm sure that if you were like, I sold it so we can get a bigger building or something like that, okay, that might not make his wife super mad. But he's like, I crashed our car and I sold our business. I don't think it was like on the same day or week, but it's still kind of like a back to back.
No, yeah.
Although maybe he sold it to like buy a new car. I don't know how totaled the car was.
He just shouldn't have crashed the car in the first place, really.
But also an alcoholic crashing a car. I don't know if he was driving drunk or not, but I should have looked into that.
He probably was, knowing him.
Yeah. Now, I told you she was enraged, but her weapon of choice was actually poison.
Whoa, okay.
It was ant poison. And the ant poison during the 1940s, which it's just fun to research little things like this, contained arsenic.
Okay. So just terrible for everything.
Yeah. And humans, it should just be called poison rather than ant poison.
Yeah.
And it's odorless and tasteless. So she could put it in whatever, and like her husband wouldn't know. She wouldn't know if she had some. But then Ben's health took a turn, and then he started to have nosebleeds.
Oh.
So, start with nosebleeds. I think it all started with nosebleeds. And then on January... Yeah, go ahead.
So she did poison him, and then he started to get the nosebleeds, and then it just continued on further.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm telling you the story for it. But yeah. So, poisoning people and nosebleeds. So it was in January 23rd, 1952, which was a year after they had Carla. Ben's condition started to worsen, and then he was admitted to the hospital.
Okay.
So they said that his lymphatic and renal system started to shut down. And then I'm just thinking, why would you poison your husband when you have like a newborn daughter?
It's valid.
I'm just saying, you have 2 kids. I was like, you might want to deal with him some other way. I don't know if it was like a method to like tame him or control him, but it was just like, I guess the nosebleeds were not enough.
I mean, I was going to say that maybe she just, wasn't thinking it was a blind rage, but like she thought enough to go out and get ant poison and then poison him with it. So
Yeah, because it wasn't like
yeah,
a, what do you call it, like a crime
like
of
a crime
passion.
of passion. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there was no like knife that just like stab, you crashed the car and you sold the business. No, it's kind of like, I'm gonna get you. Like this was
Mhm.
planned. And it was 2 days after he was admitted that Ben F. Lyles Jr. died. And the cause of death was, I don't know how to say this. I did when I researched it. I think it's called an encephalitis. What it is, it's inflammation of the brain that can cause symptoms including reduction or alteration in consciousness, headaches,
Mhm.
fevers, concussions. Oh, confusions, not concussions.
Mhm.
Confusions, a stiff neck, and vomiting.
Oh.
So I don't know if he started to develop all of those symptoms or just some of those
Uh-huh.
symptoms, but eventually he passed away in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and then also complications may include seizures, hallucinations, trouble speaking, memory problems, and problems with hearing.
Hmm. Okay.
So,
Yeah. So I just looked it up. Yeah. Encephalitis.
encephalitis. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what
Huh.
you heard.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it. Well, it's fine.
So her husband's out of the way and she has 2 kids. What is she going to do
Yeah.
now? It
What
was in
does she do?
1952. Yeah. So in 1952, it's like the year that her husband died in the hospital. She was 26 years old. And she had chosen to be a widow to save money, and she moved back to her parents' house.
Hmm.
So Julia and Jet's mother-in-law would often visit them to take care of her grandchildren while Jet was at work, which was nice. They kept in contact. It's like, oh no, my son
Yeah.
died. Let me go take care of my grandchildren. She was just being a
Yeah.
normal, good grandmother and mother-in-law. Now, it was here that Marcia, it was 1953. I don't know the exact time, but Marcia was 4 years old and Carla, their newborn, was just a couple months old. So
Hmm.
Carla never got to meet her father
Yeah.
or like at least remember him. And it was 3 years later in 1955 that with the help of a $12,000 bank loan, and Jet was able to buy back the restaurant that her ex-husband Ben sold.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of just at least shows you that she actually did working at the restaurant,
Uh-huh.
and that she kind of liked having a business or at least running it. Because it was on April 4th, 1955, that she opened the restaurant, and it was renamed Jet's.
Okay.
Which I don't know how I feel about people naming restaurants after them, because I'm like, maybe name it after like your last name, so it could be like a generational thing if you want it to be a generational thing.
But you yourself, like just your first name.
Yeah, I was like, your
Yeah.
daughters are not named
Kind of
Jet
funny.
either. So it's not like you can
Uh-huh.
pass it on to your daughter. At some point, it's going to
Hmm.
get renamed. Or they're going to be like, why is it named Jet? It's like, oh, my mother was named Jet. That would make sense too, but that would be a family thing. Now here is where things get interesting, because among the customers was her future husband,
Oh.
second husband. He was a 26-year-old Texan, and his name was Joseph Neal, but they also called him Buddy. So to make it easier, I'm
Okay.
just going to call him Buddy.
Got it. Hey, buddy.
He was a lieutenant in the United States Air Force.
Mhm.
And they was like playful talking between Buddy and then Jet. Buddy often said that she was going to marry him.
Yeah.
And what do you know? After a few months of dating, they became husband and wife on June 24th, 1955. And they surprised everyone, friends and family, with, hey, we're married. So I don't know how much of a secret thing it was, but they did it in secret.
Okay. Her
I
past
don't.
husband dies. She just randomly shows up with another husband.
I mean, it was 3 years after.
True.
It wasn't like I've had my eyes on this man. No, it was unless she did, but there was no records of that.
Fair.
So then it was on November 3rd, 1955, the same year that they got married. Because he was in the United States Air Force. He stayed overnight that time. And it was then that I visited him and spiked his fluids with ant poison.
Oh. More poisoning.
They got married in June, and now it's November of the first year, and now there's ant poison involved.
What the hell?
Yeah.
And Jet, what are you doing?
If you thought the marriage was quick, I think the ant poison was even quicker.
Oh my god.
So she gave him the poison on November 3rd. Well, around that time. And then the next morning, Buddy, he didn't actually had a nosebleed. He had an aggressive rash.
Oh.
And the rash was bleeding blood that could be seen on the sheets.
That's gross.
That's not, yeah. Happy wife. I guess this is what you need to do. Give her bloody sheets. And then during one of those times, he was being treated, Buddy was being treated. And he told one of the nurses to tie his hands to the headpost so he wouldn't be able to scratch himself.
Wow.
Because the rashes were just so itchy.
Oh god.
And when he was hospitalized, he's like, "Hey, I need you to tie my hands to the bedpost, otherwise I'm going to scratch myself."
Oh, I don't want to imagine that.
No, that would make things worse.
No.
I mean, I think it's great that he knew that, like, hey, I don't have that much like willpower to not scratch. Tie my hands to the bedpost.
No, but like having to sit through that like unbearable itchiness.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a rash that somehow bleeds into your sheets, and then you want to scratch all the time. So it was the November 13th, same year, 1955. So 10 days after Annette poisoned him, or gave him the ant poison, that the doctor sent him home to continue with his recovery. And of course, within a few days, he became ill again, because this time, Anjet was lacing his juice and cola with arsenic.
Oh my god.
So your cola doesn't only have Coke, it contains arsenic.
I guess they're gonna have a good time. I don't know.
And then less than a month later, Buddy died.
Wow.
And just like that, another husband hits the grave, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. What's her problem?
Honestly, I don't know about this one. I kind of understood the first husband. I mean, there's other ways to get out of it, like divorce. But it's like, I get car crash. Okay, alcoholic, car crash, sell the business. Yeah, I can see someone being mad and wanting to get revenge.
Yeah, and you're like miserable in that marriage, but like, what, 5 months after she got married to her second husband?
Yeah. Less than a month after he got released in November. So I was probably still November or early December when he like unfortunately passed away.
Gosh.
And I mean, it doesn't seem from what I figured out, like researching, that this Buddy had like a problem with alcohol or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he did, but I just couldn't find it. So I'm just like, and Jet, why?
He was just a guy.
It's 3 months into a marriage. Maybe date them 3 months before you point. I don't know. I don't know how long they dated either. So maybe she just like, I need to get out. But once again, just like her first husband, Buddy was his death was attributed to what did you call it? Encephalitis.
And encephalitis, yeah.
Yeah, encephalitis. So first husband and second husband were both told, yep, encephalitis took them.
Wow.
So at this point, both Marcia and Carla had gotten used to growing up without their dad. And very frequently they would also be helping out to run the restaurant.
Okay.
So these are two kids that are like under the age of 10, helping run a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's like the 60s. I don't know when labor laws went in place for children, but still. I mean, also, I don't know what they were doing. I doubt that they were like cleaning grease or stuff like that.
Yeah, but still.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, I also get like maybe she didn't have enough like a babysitter, but I'm just like, just let them chill at the restaurant.
Yeah, you don't need to really put them to work. I mean, I don't know, it's the family business and whatnot, but
I mean, at this point, so it was 18 months after they lost their stepfather, which was Buddy. It was May 6, 1957, and Marcia was 8 years old, and Carla was 6.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kids. Let them be kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, unfortunately, it was that date that I told you, May 6th, that they would end up taking care of their grandmother.
No. No.
Remember the grandmother that came to take care of them when
after the first husband died? Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So she had been admitted to the hospital, and then Jet was apparently tending to her.
And she gets poisoned too.
Oh, what gave it away?
I have no clue.
Yeah, so it was actually one day after work that the kitchen staff saw Jet prepare buttermilk that she was taking to her mother-in-law in the hospital. But what's very interesting, I'll bring this up later in the story. What's very interesting is that sometimes when she would prepare like the buttermilk for her mother-in-law, like she would step into the bathroom with buttermilk and then walk out of the back door.
Totally nothing suspicious there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it was on September 29th, 1957, that Julia, their grandmother, would pass away.
What did they rule as the cause of death?
Actually, this one was attributed to natural causes.
Oh.
So I don't know if it has anything with the fact that she was an older lady or not.
I mean, maybe they probably were just like, oh, she was like, I don't know, her organs were failing or something, maybe because of the poison. But they're like, she's just old.
Yeah,
she died
honestly,
of old age.
I mean, I don't know how old she was, which I probably should have looked up. But also, it was a different time.
That's true.
1957. And this is where we're getting to Marcia. She was 9 years old and she became sick.
What?
Yep. 9-year-old Marcia, who helped run the restaurant, got sick. And theories started to circulate that it was because Marcia... Well, theories started to circulate that it was because Marcia resembled her first husband, Ben, too much. And then Jet was much more abusive to Marcia compared to Carla.
Poor kid.
Yeah. So the Marcia's symptoms were fever and cough.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually she was transferred to Parkview Hospital. And then Anjet, she started to speculate to her restaurant staff about her about her daughter's demise.
Wait,
So she
what?
kind of like she was just being like very negative around her staff, kind of like her daughter was gonna die.
Oh, okay.
Like rather than being positive or anything, she was just like speculating that she was gonna die.
I see.
Yeah. And Anjet often brought like her relatives food from the restaurant to the hospital. Like she brought like her husband, her mother-in-law, and like even little Marcia like food from the restaurant to the hospital. So like they could eat not hospital food.
Mm-hmm.
But then the staff started to grow suspicious.
Rightfully so.
And then unfortunately, Marcia, she started to hallucinate. Little 9-year-old Marcia started to hallucinate, and she claims that she saw bugs crawl all over her.
Oh, God.
So if this is a child that's already scared of bugs,
Yeah.
hallucinating seeing them, it doesn't make it better.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Now there, Anjet did have a housekeeper, or a maid, whatever what people want to call her. Her name was Carmen. And one of the days while she was just doing her, duties, she came across a bottle for ant poison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the staff at work in the restaurant were the first to realize what Anjet had done to her family and was now doing to Marcia.
God.
Yeah, so poor little I mean, the staff caught, like the restaurant staff caught on, but this was also the 1950s. And unfortunately, the racial segregation law in the state of Georgia, like it just made it very difficult for Jet's cooks and housekeeper to speak up. Because if they, that's what was like, wait, what? Like they could have caught her like sooner, but like if they were to go to the sheriff, like bad things happen to them.
Exactly. They wouldn't be believed at all. And yeah.
Or like they would blame it on them. Yeah.
Yep.
So like I can only imagine like you realize that your employee is like doing this to like their child. And it's not like a child that you've never met. That child helped like run the restaurant.
You know
for, like,
her. Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Like you're probably like, close with her.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I assume that like the cooks and like the housekeeper were like close with the kids, especially because they didn't have a father figure.
Right? Like she's just a sweet little girl.
Yeah. But this is what I do like about them, because despite the risk, the staff send anonymous messages to the coroner and to the family members nearby. So rather than going to the sheriff, they were like, let's send anonymous messages to the coroner, and then to family members nearby. Hopefully, like one of them would like respond or like look into it,
do something. Yeah.
The letter. Yeah. So actually, the family responded, and they alerted the sheriff. However, by the time that authorities got involved, the doctors already started to suspect that Marcia had been poisoned. So the doctors kind of caught on as well.
Did they end up doing anything about it?
Well, unfortunately, it was too late for Marcia. She was struggling to breathe. And on April 5th, 1958, 3 months before her birthday, Marcia passed away.
Imagine being that kid. What a terrible way to go.
9 years old. She started to have hallucinations, started to have trouble breathing, and then passed away. And she had no like reason to suspect her mother at all. Like
Yeah.
I'm 9 years
Why
old
would
with,
she?
yeah, mom's bringing me food to the hospital. She cares for me. I like my mom, you
Mhm.
know. Maybe like and Jet was a little bit more abusive to Marsha, but I would imagine that at least when she's in the hospital, like you see your mom bringing you
No.
food, she's like,
Yeah,
maybe she was like
yeah.
she's trying
You
to
don't
take
think
care
your
of
mom's
me.
gonna kill you?
No, no. I feel like I mean, especially when it comes to children, it's not even in their radar.
No, not at all.
But like I mentioned, because the doctors had like an idea or like were imagining that maybe she got poisoned, they took tissue samples from Marcia and they were sent for testing.
Smart.
Yeah. So this is where they were able to confirm the arsenic poisoning. And the police was able to obtain a search warrant for Anjet and
Hmm.
for her house. And they found poison and from roll, they found voodoo stuff like paraphernalia.
What?
Yep. They
Sanjit
found
was like a voodoo person?
so they found voodoo stuff like paraphernalia, like a collection of items, candles, powders, herbs, and the ant poison. There were
What a
voodoo dolls,
collection.
black candles, like potions. Yeah, yeah. So this lady, like I said, like people knew that like she had candles and stuff, but they didn't. I don't know if they knew about all the other stuff, like
Yeah.
voodoo dolls and like potions and all that stuff. But search warrant comes up. Here's some rat poison and a lot of voodoo. So the sheriff said packages found in the home were labeled with good luck powder, lucky witchcraft Egyptian love powder, incense, and Adam and Eve's root and oil.
What?
So it wasn't like she didn't know just little things here and there. Like she had enough to get them confused if they were not labeled. It's not like she had one little bottle and she's like, this is for good luck, and that's it. Like
Uh-huh.
she had a lot that she had to label to not confuse them.
Dude, what?
Yeah. So it was Tuesday, May 6th of 1958 that Anjet was arrested with 4 counts of murder.
Wow.
Yeah. Anjet's
So,
husbands, both of them, they were
mhm.
exhumed and they found that they too had been poisoned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Now,
she
this
was
is,
charged for all of her murders then.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And then this is where people start to talk and kind of like gossip starts to spread around
Mhm.
because what did she run?
A restaurant where she
Yeah.
could be poisoning everybody who ate there. Oh,
Bingo.
okay.
Yeah, so
Yep.
all the customers that ate at the restaurant were wondering if she had like ever tried to poison them too.
Oh my God.
Because I mean, it seems like she was just so comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like no second thought. It was just like a part of her for like the past
yeah, and it's not
like
like
10
I feel like
years.
it's a lot different if you were to find out that the person that ran the restaurant you like to eat poisoned their husband. But then,
Mhm.
like, you figure out that they poisoned, like, their first husband, their second husband, their mother-in-law, and their child. They're like, okay, so,
Yeah.
like, who's not off limits?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, they arrested her, and her prosecutors were Charles Adams and Hank O'Neill. And it was on Monday, October 6th of 1958 that 32-year-old Anjet was called to trial. And Jack got close to $50,000 from the death of her family members. And that's
Oh.
about $530,000 nowadays.
Wow.
So
So she got some
close,
money.
she got close to $500,000, yeah. I mean, a bit more than $500,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Although I do think for like 4 people, I don't think that's not that there's an amount for people, but like 3 people, 4 people getting murdered, that's not worth it.
No, definitely not.
And then, the investigation presented examples of Unjet's, she forged signatures on documents. And the cooks testified that they saw Unjet preparing the lemonade and buttermilk to take to the hospital. But there was times where she was actually kind of careless. Because like they could see what she was doing, like putting stuff in it or like hiding in the bathroom and then going out the back door. Also, something that like just was not thought out. And Jet also ordered a coffin for her daughter before she died.
Oh, well, that's huge.
Yeah, it's kind of like you might be able to explain everything else, but like, how do you explain ordering a coffin for your daughter before she died?
Yeah, no. She knew. She had this planned out.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand that like she resembled her first husband too much, but I'm just like, you're not getting
But
anything.
still, that's your daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then during the trial, one of the witnesses said that Anjet faithfully took food and drink to her loved ones in their final illness at the Macon Hospital, sometimes over the protest of nurses. But on 3 occasions, she mysteriously took the items of food into the restaurant bathroom before she delivered them.
Whoa.
So it was multiple times that she was just doing stuff in the bathrooms.
This girl's weird.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then during the whole trial, like, Anjet said that she wanted to do 2 things if she got the electric chair. She said, I'm going to go see my child Carla before I die, and I'm going to talk plenty about some people I've been protecting in this thing.
Protecting?
That's what I was like, protecting. There's never clarification on that. Like, she never talks about who she's protecting or things like that. But also, you don't have a right to go see Carla. Like, that's your only surviving child. I do not trust you around that child.
Right? Like, remove her from everyone close to her at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another of the witnesses was a nurse, Miss Jacqueline, and she testified that 2 weeks after Marcia died, Anjet told her over the phone that she was upset because a neighbor's child had told the maid Carmen that Anjet's younger daughter Carla was going to take ant poison too, so she could go to heaven to be with Marcia.
What the fuck?
Yeah, which makes me think it's like, how did Carla know it was ant poison?
Did Carla know the entire time?
I don't know. I mean, kids are very observant as well.
That's true. Maybe she saw the ant poison, was just like, oh, it's ant poison, whatever.
Yeah.
But then she realized later on, I don't know.
Or maybe just because it was poison, she's like, I'm going to take some too so I can go see my sister Marcia in heaven. Which is actually like super sad though. I mean, it kind of just shows you how close the girls were to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with no like father figure, like they just had each other to rely on.
Yeah, they had to.
And then this is a quote. Rosemary Reynolds, Negro cook in Anjet's restaurant, told the jury that she saw Anjet fix buttermilk on 2 occasions, for her mother-in-law Julia, and on 1 occasion lemonade for her 9-year-old daughter Marcia.
Mm.
And both of them had, both of who Anjet had been charged with poisoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that they were able to actually kind of like take into account the word of like a Black person during that time I was like, good, take their word, because they saw it.
Yeah. And this is in Georgia, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for, Georgia back during that time.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah, good on
why
them,
they
I
decided to
guess.
take their word, but I'm just glad they did. I'm yeah,
Yeah,
people have
yeah.
seen this. Um, so on all three times, the witness testified that Anjet took the glasses containing beverages into the restroom before she left through the back door. And then she went to the hospital. So it wasn't just one or two cooks that saw her doing that. She was careless when she did it. And I don't know if it was careless because she didn't care or careless because she's oh, segregation laws, they can't say
Mhm.
anything, no matter what they see me do.
Yeah. Or there's no possible way they could, you know,
Yeah,
they wouldn't ever be
anything.
believed over me or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. They're something bad's going to happen to them if they talk to the sheriff or something. But it was on Monday, October 13th, that the jury took just under 2 hours to deliberate. And Jet was found guilty, and she was sentenced to the death penalty by electric chair. Now, this was a big deal, though, since Georgia had never executed a white woman.
Oh.
Yeah. And do you want to know her reply? Her response to the electric chair?
What?
I didn't kill those 4 people. Somebody else did. I didn't say anything about it at the time of the trial because I was protecting somebody. But Sheriff Jim Wood knows about it. And I hope he will find out the truth. I wouldn't walk into that room and die with my lie on my lips for anything in this world.
What? Who is she protecting?
There's no response whatsoever. It's kind of like she was looking for an scapegoat and she's maybe this will buy me time.
Yeah, but at that point she already was sentenced to death.
Yeah. And then she was I didn't, anything you want to say? It's I didn't kill those 4 people. And it's well, you should have said that during the trial. And she's I couldn't because I'm protecting the sheriff. Not protecting the sheriff.
You need to
somebody that the
protect
sheriff
yourself.
Yeah, you got one girl left. If you really want to go see her, prove your innocence. But that's hard in this case because it all points to her poisoning people. And because she was, going to be electrocuted, be put in the electric chair, the defense lawyers asked the government to appoint a sanity commission, and they ended up examining Anjet and the records and determined that she was insane.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
So the government put her death sentence on hold, and for as long as she would be considered insane, she wouldn't be executed under Georgia law. So
see, now this is where she could have, revealed that information.
Yeah, so even though that, yes, because even though that she was sentenced, they were no, she's just insane. So, she was sent to the Central State Hospital, and they had a women's facility, but also a facility for the criminally insane. So that's where she would spend her time.
Okay.
Yeah, and on a newspaper article, she said, I'm real happy and pleased that God saw fit to spare my life. Yep. I'm starting to believe the insane thing more.
Yeah.
And then she also said, it might be my opportunity to do some religious work in Milledgeville State Hospital. I hate for people to say I'm crazy, but at least my child can live this down, and she wouldn't live it down if I went to the electric chair. Well, yeah, I don't know what the child would prefer. A dead mother or a mother in the crazy loony bin.
I mean, I don't know if it would really even matter. I'm sure her kids I'm sure like Carla like hated her for killing everyone close to
Yeah.
her.
I mean, growing up without like a father and then like her father-in-law, like a father figure finally in her life also dying. And then the
Yeah,
mother-in-law, like her grandmother, that she's like, grandma
yeah.
takes care of us
And
when
then
mom's
learning that your mom killed all of them.
her sister. Yeah. I mean, I think it would make her question whether she was next.
Oh yeah.
Because honestly, like, it's just a checklist at this point. Um, but she served her sentence, and she died in 1970s. And she was never found sane.
Wow.
So she just spent her time there, and leaving her only daughter, her only surviving daughter, Carla. Now, there's something very interesting that I actually found out today. um,
Oh,
so
what is
it
it?
was in 1958, the same year that she was convicted, that the case was that they arrested her, that they took her to court, all that year. It was in 1958 that Carla Lyles disappeared.
Her daughter disappeared
Yep,
in
Carla,
in
like this.
yeah.
So, and Jet claimed that Carla had been sent to live with her grandparents in Florida, but no one like ever saw or heard from Carla again.
Dude, what?
Yep. And Jet told the police that she had taken Carla to Florida herself.
But how would she have found the time to take her to Florida?
This was probably like before they like arrested her. Like she probably knew
Mm.
that the thing was collapsing. Like her whole scheme was,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Um,
God,
and
but
then
like,
she later changed her story.
oh,
Yeah.
she
So
changed it
after that,
too.
she said that she left Carla with a man named Joe Woodward, who had promised to take her to Florida.
Mhm. Uh, I mean, I. It's like, how can I believe her because she just killed everyone else? But also in a
Yeah.
way, like, I kind of want to believe her because, like, why would she lie about that if she's already essentially convicted
Yeah.
for
Well, I
the
mean, maybe she
previous
would have won like
murders?
another like charge against her.
That's true.
Like, yeah. So it was, yeah. So that was in 1958. And like, there was nowhere, like, no like information of like her actual whereabouts. Like,
Uh-huh.
it all remained a mystery. So, like, the trial was over and she was convicted. She was declared insane. And like, no one knew like where her daughter Carla was.
Did authorities ever try to like track down her grandparents or anything like that?
They had no luck about that. Like,
Mm,
nothing. So, so she died in 1970. Like, she died in
yeah.
1970 and she was never found sane. It wasn't until 40 is yeah, 40, I think 40 years, 40 years later in 2011 that a woman named Jennifer Emile came forward claiming to be Carla Lyles.
What?
So it was like she disappeared in 1958 and in 2011 like she reappeared as a
That's
full-ass grown woman.
insane.
Yeah.
In
That
1958,
was
she would have been
that was
like,
53 years.
yeah.
She like was like a dead end, like a missing person, like a missing child, honestly, because she disappeared as a child, unsolved for 58 years before, like, and you never hear this stuff. It's like they disappear and like they're never found. But in
Uh-huh.
like 2011, she reappeared and it's like, hey, I'm Carla Lyles. Yeah. So she had
So
been
what
adopted.
happened?
She had been adopted in Florida. So somehow she made it to
Okay.
Florida. She had been adopted by a couple in Florida. And she had recently discovered her true identity in 2011. So it's not like she was in hiding or anything. She just, like, her adoptive parents didn't tell her anything.
But she, like, so did she not know about all of the murders and everything then?
I don't know if it was like a suppressed memory and she just kind of like didn't know about it.
And then so she like started this new life and just moved on from her past type of thing.
Yeah, so she somehow ended in Florida. We don't know if the man Joe Woodward took her to Florida or if Jet took her to Florida, but she somehow ended up in Florida.
Okay.
And she was adopted by a couple. And her name was originally, like, the couple named her Melanie Suzanne Ridger. But she was born in Macon, Georgia in 1954. And her adoption was finalized in 1958, the same year that, like, everything went down.
That
like,
she like disappeared and everything.
Yeah, so that same year everything was done. So not much is known after, like, about Carla or like Jennifer. When she was adopted.
Not much is known, but what is known kind of lines up.
Yeah. So that's her, and she declined to speak to the public about her past. So we don't know if she just blacked it out or she just decided to forget about that chapter in her life. Could be one or the other. Yeah.
Wow.
Also, I feel like if you're like an 8-year-old and they tell you your name is Carla, but you're getting adopted and your name's going to be Jennifer, for the next 53 years, you're known as Jennifer. I feel like at that point you're like, maybe I was.
Especially if you're already like a kind of traumatized kid, like from growing up in that family where like your dad died and your stepdad and everything like that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the story of the Voodoo Killer Chef.
That's such a. First of all, that name is just.
I honestly, like, I was like, who do I tell the story of? And I was like, Voodoo Killer Chef. I was like, that has like a ring to it, but also it's like, what are you talking about?
I hate that it has a ring to it because it's like a serial killer, but
yeah. Honestly, like, it was just like a checklist. Tick, 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 tick. I'm glad Carla survived, or Jennifer, but
is she still alive? I imagine she's passed away.
Yeah, I mean,
now.
She came out in 2011. She was 53 on 2011.
Okay, so she could easily still be alive today.
Yeah. I mean, she still has the chance to speak up if she wanted to, like, talk to the public about her past. But so far, she's chosen to stay quiet. I don't blame her. I did not try to find her. I did not try to reach out. You live your life.
Yeah, you don't have to be reminded of all of this.
No, plus also I'm sure that at this point, it's a blur to her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my 8-year-old self, I feel like everything's a blur.
Oh yeah, like I don't think I remember anything from being a kid, so.
Yeah, so that's your true crime for today.
Any final questions, final thoughts? Alexis, anything you want to add?
Oh no.
Looks like she fell asleep.
Honestly, I would not be surprised. Did you fall asleep? Let's figure it out. If not, it's fine. Thank you for listening to Chambers of the Occult.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for our very first episode.
We can't hear you. No, we cannot hear you, Alexis. Were you muted?
No way.
I think now. Try talking.
Have you been speaking the entire time?
Oh, she's gone. Oh, okay. Well,
I really hope she hasn't been speaking the entire, like, almost hour we've been here. I was
curious about her. I'm like, I hear you, but I don't.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Wait, you try to
Can
comment?
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I said good story.
Oh, okay, cool. But
Oh, cool.
were you trying to comment during the story?
No, before then, yeah, I thought you guys heard me.
No.
No, we didn't hear
We
you
were
this
not ignoring
entire
you.
time.
Oh,
Technical
well, I didn't
difficulty.
really say much. So
Okay.
We'll work on everything for our next episodes.
Yeah. We'll make sure you're not muted.
Yeah. But I enjoyed that. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
I did too.
And now a word from a sponsor. No one.
We have no sponsors. Please listen.
Sponsor us, please.
Yes. Now we
Can
have.
Josh Hutcherson sponsor us?
What would he? Just Josh Hutcherson?
Just Josh Hutcherson.
Can you stop being obsessed with Josh Hutcherson for
I'm
one
not.
second of your
I'm
life?
not.
Honestly, I can imagine it would be so silly and funny and also stupid, but would wanted. Just a word from our sponsor, and then you just hear, "Hi, I'm Josh Hutcherson."
That's what I'm saying.
That's it.
All right. Our new goal, next episode, we're getting Josh Hutcherson.
Let's say that.
I'll text him. We're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to start with your story now?
Mine?
Yeah.
I don't have that much, but I do have. Okay, I have something. I don't know. Okay, so I was wrong in the placement of it. It's not not really in Connecticut. It's in Rhode Island.
Whoa.
Rhode Island, Harrisville is where it's at.
Okay, you're telling us that. But
yeah.
What are you telling to the listeners? What are you telling them?
Oh yeah. My fault. Wait, what do I say?
You just tell them the title of the story. What do you want to call that story? Or what is it known as?
The Conjuring story. We'll go with that.
Okay.
This is the Conjuring story.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't watched it recently, so I'm in.
It's basically the first Conjuring is where it's based off of. The first Conjuring movie, we'll reference that. The Perron family. So the Perron family, Carolyn, the mother, Roger, the father, their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. April being the youngest. Yeah. As well as their dog, Sadie. Moved to the Harrisville farmhouse, we'll call it, in 1971 in Rhode Island, Harrisville, if you need to be specific. Actually, a little fun fact I found out today.
Oh.
Andrea Perron, one of the daughters, actually wrote 2 books about their experience.
Do you have the names of the books?
Yes, I do. House of Darkness and House of Light.
Book club suggestion?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I'd read that. Depending on how many pages, because I still Facebook. But they were believed to be haunted by a spirit whom Ed and Lorraine Warren declared as Bathsheba Sherman. So I'm going to get into Ed and Lorraine are paranormal investigators and demonologists.
Thank you.
Very, very popular in the spiritual community. So maybe get your game up. But Bathsheba,
well, I'm not a medium.
Talk a little bit about her. You got to meet them. I want to go to the Conjuring house, the real one. Sounds cool.
I thought the museum closed down during the pandemic.
The museum, Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum, where they have all their artifacts, that closed down permanently. But I do believe the Conjuring house itself in Rhode Island is still open for
Yeah.
tourists.
They actually do. What are they called? Overnight stays and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool.
We got to do that.
Wait, because I not recently, last year. That's not so far away. Hi, by the way, guys. Happy New Year. my sister had me watch, or at least part of it, or most of it. Some YouTubers going to like the Conjuring house.
Mm.
Yeah, but
Did
that's
you
all.
watch Sam and Crosby?
I think that's the one it was.
Sam and Colby.
Yeah, so that's what I said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
what I heard.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about Bathsheba.
Okay.
So she was originally born as Bathsheba Thayer, but became Sherman when she married, what's his name? Judson. Yeah, Judson Sherman. But Bathsheba was originally born in 1812 in Rhode Island. And she married Judson Mario Day in Connecticut, March 10th in
Did you say Mario
1844.
Day?
Yeah, Mario Day.
Like
You guys
Super
don't know
Mario
about
woohoo?
that? March 10th. The date.
Like Super Mario, like woohoo.
Yeah, like it's a me.
What?
Yeah. You guys don't know?
No.
Like
What?
MAR and then 10, it looks like Mario.
Huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep going.
March 10th of 1844 in Connecticut, actually, they got married. I can even tell you who married them.
Yes.
Cool.
Vernon Styles. Not like
That's-
Harry Styles, but like Julia
Aw,
Styles. From
unfortunate.
10 Things I
Oh,
Hate
so there's
About
no
You.
relation?
No relation.
I'm actually
No.
an ordained minister, so if anyone needs someone to marry them,
Are you actually?
yeah, I
There's no
got my
way.
certificate by like a 5-minute online quiz.
Oh, you
like
told me
8 years ago.
that. You
8 years
told me
ago.
about that.
So you were like a teenager just wanted to get people married?
Well, you can't actually do it until you're 18, so like
Yeah.
I had to wait like 5 years or something, but
You're like, I just want to be ready for it.
besides the point.
Yeah, okay.
You guys are weird. Anyways,
I'm not the one that got ordained at like 11.
Hey,
facts.
you
Right.
you take back that attitude when you want to get married one day.
No, now in that I'm probably gonna come to you now.
Anyways, Bathsheba.
Yes. She got married.
Bathsheba and Judson, they had a son. His name was Herbert L. Sherman. In 1849, when Bathsheba turned around 37, and at the time, or there's a possibility that Bathsheba and Judson had other children as well. The suspicion is 3, but
Like with each other or with other people?
with each other. Yeah, with each other. But they never survived past the age of 7. There's no record that can confirm, though. It's just all
Speculation.
suspicions, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. There's only one photo that surfaced of Bathsheba, and it was actually taken in 1885. It must have been either at least a month or maybe 2 months before she died. And it's taken in front of what was called the Arnold Estate, but the Perron family's house is what it's known as.
Okay,
And
so that's the name it had before.
yes, Arnold Estate is what it's called before. And there was a lot of legends and folklore going on around Bathsheba during that time that she was a witch.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of instances where she has known to have children in her care and they've mysteriously died. There's been one that surfaced the most. It was of an infant who got their examination, and they found at the base of the child's skull was seemed to be a wound from and someone impaling them with a large soap needle. Yeah.
So it was it wasn't an accident.
No.
No, couldn't have been.
Sorry, I impaled your child.
No, exactly. The last person who took care of that child was Bathsheba. And so there was a lot of people saying that she would use children as a sacrifice or offering to the devil. But whether or not that's true, it still remains a mystery. You know, there's never been anything to confirm nor deny that.
Got it.
Bathsheba died May 25th, 1885. And there's a lot of people saying that when she died, her body, and I quote, literally turned into stone. But again, that's all legends.
Because there was no statue found.
Exactly. You're picking up what I'm putting down. Anyways, so she died. Apparently, the Perron family did a lot of more research on the house as well and found out that there had been at least a dozen other people that had killed themselves on that property, or have had a tragic death of some sort. The first instance that the Perron family really had was just hearing voices and noticing things that were open and closing on their own. Their dog Sadie would be barking at what would seem to be nothing for a long period of time. But of course, they can't see what she's barking at, so they don't know. But there was one instance where Carolyn had an incident where she felt a sharp pain on her calf, and it looked to be like a wound that you would get if you would be impaled by a large sewing needle. So there was that connection between that and the child that had passed away. And so because of that, yes. So because of that, Ed and Lorraine Warren, the paranormal investigators, suggested that it was Bathsheba in their house haunting them.
Oh.
Yeah. So the Conjuring movie itself, I believe, it released in 2013, maybe, which is crazy to think about. Crazy to think about. Yeah, 2013. And Andrea Perron, who wrote the books House of Darkness and House of Light, she described the movie as informative. It's beautifully put together, but there's a lot more to the story. So what we saw from the Conjuring movie itself was just a little snippet of it. It wasn't even like the whole shebang, which honestly is a little bit crazy to think about.
How long did they live in the house? Do you know?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that question.
Because I was going to be like, they could have lived there for like 3, 4, 5 years, but the movie's like 2 hours long. So
yeah,
that's true.
You can't convey 2 years.
They lived in there for 10 years.
Ah.
Yes. So they describe it as 10 long years, actually. I think 10 is already long, but like.
Yeah, you can't put 10 years into a 2-hour movie.
No. So it's valid.
Yeah.
So Andrea actually touched on the exorcism that they had in the movie. Do you guys remember that? Have you guys seen the Conjuring movie?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah.
Well, there's an exorcism, I believe towards the end of the movie. They perform it on Carolyn, the mother.
Yeah.
But Andrea actually said that there was no exorcism involved. She said that night. Yeah, she said that night the Warrens had brought over a medium as well as themselves, and the medium was trying to conjure the spirit to kind of. They were performing a seance, essentially. They were performing a seance, and it went awry. And Carolyn was then attacked by the spirit that this medium was trying to reach out to.
Oh.
So, yeah. Yeah. Not too exciting. I don't really want to be attacked in my house, but that's fair.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
But I thought that was kind of interesting how they decided to switch it around.
Yeah, like they
Um,
replaced a seance with an exorcism,
yeah. I
which is
wonder
completely different.
yeah. Very, very different. Very different. But Andrea did say in the book, from what I know of, that her and her family did respect spirits. Like they had a respect for spirits of any kind.
Okay.
So I guess they had living in the house before where they had spirits in as well. She kind of just said it was their house first, which is, yeah, true, right? If
Fair.
I'm moving into a house with a bunch of
Yeah.
spirits, I'll be like, that's all you. That's not, I'm sorry. I don't
I
mean
mean, I
to
guess
invade in
depends
your
on the
space.
spirits, but
Yeah.
um,
From what I know of, there's been a lot of tragic deaths in this like house in this property.
Yeah, it seems
So
like there
like,
was quite a few before even they moved in.
yeah.
yes, yeah, there were a lot of issues for sure before they even moved in. It's just I'm assuming it all amplified when they were living on there.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think about. They would hear doors slam, beds shaking, apparitions wandered by from time to time, and it was a new home, so they didn't actually think much of it for a while. It was really normal for them.
See, this is the
Um,
stuff I want to see until you say out loud, and then I'm like, maybe not.
I don't know. Okay, that is like that was one of my biggest fears when I was younger. Sorry to get off topic, but it's still on
Mhm.
topic. When I was younger, I would watch all those like shows talking about like people moving into new houses and having paranormal experiences and shit. It was so
Same. I
bad.
forgot the name though.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to move into a new house and experience that. I thought that was like just like a guarantee.
Oh.
Again, I was like younger. So I was like so scared of the thought of moving out of my apartment for that. I was just like,
No,
yeah, I'll
fair,
stick with the one
yeah.
I have here.
Fair enough, though. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Right? I don't
It
know.
does.
Anyways. Um, so Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators. Talk a little bit about them. So this took place in the 1970s. They did a little paranormal investigation on their home. It got the attention of Hollywood, of course.
Of course.
And Ed and Lorraine actually worked with the producers and the directors for the Conjuring movie as well.
So they had
Which,
some influence on it.
yeah, they had a lot of influence from what I've heard as well as the Perron family. So,
Good.
yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
At least I didn't make anything up. You know what I'm saying? Well, not for the exorcism part, but like, you
The
know,
exorcism.
we don't talk about that. That's okay.
We had a seance, an exorcism, a seance. Same thing. I feel like that's how the conversation went.
Honestly, okay, I wonder what the seance would have like looked like during,
Right?
Same.
like what they would
I
have
think,
done, you know?
Yeah.
like, did they even know what they were doing? I don't know.
Yeah, that's because I don't know. I guess I
I
should have done
assume they
more
would
research
have.
on what. Yeah,
I was
go
going to say,
on.
I would assume that they would have followed the lead of the medium they hired or the medium they
Yeah,
brought.
yeah. It seems like the medium really took charge when she was or they were over at their house.
Hmm.
Um, especially considering that they suggested to perform that seance from what I could see. So
Hmm.
it was really the medium that did everything. But um, it's kind of crazy. And Andrea, which is again the author of the books that I was telling you about, she's the one that's most open to talking about the experiences. Christine, however, one of the sisters,
Hmm.
she is probably the one that is most reluctant on giving any of that information out. It seems like she might have gotten a
I
lot
guess
of,
short straw.
yeah,
Hmm.
the brunt of it.
Don't blame them.
Um, Yeah.
Yeah.
The mother, after their seance had been, or during the seance, actually, when she got attacked, she was actually picked up and thrown into another room.
Oh.
Her body
can't handle.
slammed to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, the Warrens had already believed that Carolyn was possessed. And so
I can see why they would jump to that conclusion.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's not just an average Tuesday where, she flings herself into another room.
Oh my God, I can't imagine that. Just like being in my house and then like trying to figure out what's going on and then just being picked up and thrown across the room. The physical impact that would have had.
Yo, the amounts of like dents on the wall.
For sure.
Wonder if the
it did
dents are
happen
still
in the
there.
movie as well. You could see it.
Oh.
I believe it might have been with Carolyn. I think it may have been with one of the daughters in the movie.
And if you look to your right, an original dent.
We gotta go to the Conjuring house.
We really do.
But the Perron family, figured that the medium that they had brought kind of just opened up this door that they couldn't close.
Mm-hmm.
And so Carolyn, I believe, was unconscious for a while. And when she woke up, she was drained. Like you could see it in her face that she was drained of all the energy, anything that she had at that time, and in immense pain.
So kind of like what they actually look in the movies, like just like pale, like
sweaty,
face
maybe.
dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah,
that's heavy. I don't know. That's scary.
In your own household too.
No, yeah, that's what like I think about it, like this family, this just family that moved into this new house, wanted to start somewhat of a new life, and they can't even live peacefully in their home because of the things that are happening to them.
Yeah.
It was a new life, just not the one they wanted.
Yeah. True.
It's kind of like careful what you wish for. I guess you got to be more specific when you say you want a new life.
A new happy life, I should have said.
There we go. And then stuffed animals would be the ones getting thrown around.
Speaking of like animals, sort of, how are those haunted dolls you have?
Nothing.
It's animals.
They're still there. Like, they haven't moved. I haven't really taken like an EMF next to them. I kind of wanted to do like the spirit box, but then like I was like, no, I'm by myself. I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe save that for some other time.
But then like I also have like the urge to like take them in my car and drive them around. But then I'm like, no, because like what if I could get in a car accident because of them?
Yeah, probably should leave them in the room.
So it's kind of like, I feel like if I do want to take them somewhere, I gotta ship them.
Ship them?
Yeah.
But then they're gonna make like the delivery driver crash.
Not my problem.
Oh, damn.
I mean, they didn't crash the vehicle on their way here either, so.
That's true. Well, like they're attached to you now, you know?
I mean, the only thing that I said on the description is that they like to dance at night.
No.
What?
Have you taken them dancing yet?
No. I had one time where actually I was watching like a movie like on Disney and I was like, oh, they might like this. So then I like repositioned them to look at the movie. And then like I fell asleep and then I had a horrible nightmare. And I was like, I don't know if they like the movie.
You texted me?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So
I think if you just give him a good jamming, at night.
Honestly,
I think
I
they'd be
have like white noises playing in my room 24/7, like the ocean.
I'm
Um,
sure they enjoy that. It
really.
keeps them calm.
yeah, it's very low
Yeah,
volume. Like you wouldn't
you play
hear it
some
if you're like
K-pop
up
for
in
them.
the
You play some Twice for them.
They're
gonna
like
have a
some
nightmare.
Victorian
The Stray Kids.
children that died and are haunting these dolls, and they're like, "What the hell is this? What are we listening
They're
to?"
like
No,
Beethoven
exactly.
or something like that.
You got to get them up to speed.
You know what? Eventually they'll be up to speed. They have all eternity.
True.
I mean, also, how
I don't
up to
like
speed can they
that.
be? That they have all eternity?
That's true. What if they just like are lazy
True.
and don't want to learn anything?
Yeah, what if it's like
I don't blame them.
an old person that's like you can't teach them new tricks and they're like, eh.
Didn't it say what kind of, or did it in the description? What did it describe as the doll
That they like to dance.
when you got it? That's it.
There wasn't
I
much,
like
I'm
the
telling
little
you. Like,
girl.
no, there was no names. It's two of them.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh,
Let me
that's
see.
it.
Yeah, okay, so keep going with your story. I'll see if I can find the
Yeah.
description.
Oh yeah.
It's, I've had
Yeah,
them
I
for
should
months
probably
and
do
like
that,
nothing
huh?
has happened so far. Major.
Major, but some minor.
Like the Conjuring house. That's major.
The Conjuring house is very major.
No dolls required.
Okay, Bathsheba is honestly kind of a scary name.
Yeah.
Like,
It kind of is.
as
I'm
far as
not gonna
names go,
lie.
like, I don't know.
It gives me
It
shivers.
literally sounds like the name of like a demon.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But she was an actual living person.
that's crazy.
And
Imagine being named
she didn't
Bathsheba.
have. No, seriously.
Sorry, please don't kill
No,
me.
you're fine. No, you're
No, I'm
fine.
apologizing to Bathsheba.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Bathsheba.
Like, please don't hurt me.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah.
So
Before you dig a deeper hole.
Yeah.
actually, Bathsheba was charged with manslaughter of a baby.
Whoa.
Yeah, after that infant had been discovered to have an impale thing in the base of their skull. Yeah. Yeah. But the Warrens knew a little bit about Bathsheba and
hmm
kind of just declared it was her. I'm sure there's more to the story when it comes to that on maybe Lorraine's end, but
Mhm.
as to how they knew. But anyways, the seance didn't go too well, but after the seance, nothing major really happened in the home. No
Or like
really
little
major
things,
supernatural
small things happening?
experiences.
Or like
No,
just the big stuff?
well,
Like everything stopped or just the big stuff?
well, the parents described it as lived pretty happily most of the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so from what it seems like some minor things may have happened sporadically throughout their stay there, but it didn't seem like it was as intense as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So the seance, if anything, may have actually altered their life for the better.
Sounds like
Which
it.
is really good. You know, it worked out. It's a win-win for everyone. The medium doesn't look, bad.
Hey.
Probably gets more customer service reviews. Yeah.
It's a win-win for the living. I don't think none of the dead win anything.
Hey, I was talking about the medium. The medium was living.
Yeah. But
But
I'm like, I don't think the spirits get a win there.
no, maybe not actually. Well, maybe. I don't know. They were described to be like benevolent spirits, so maybe
Okay.
not. Yeah. There were like loud noises that there would be during that time, but again, nothing really small. Or, I mean, too big. It was all really
Okay.
small. Which was nice. Before then, apparently, sorry, this is all over the place.
You're good.
April, the
No, you're
youngest,
good.
April, the youngest daughter,
hmm
she made a friend.
Oh, I do remember this part from the movie.
Yes,
I don't know how accurate it was, but go ahead.
Oliver Richardson. So kind of accurate in my eyes. Oliver Richardson was her friend, and he was another spirit that had passed away in the home. But apparently that went on after the seance as well. So that was kind of like a big thing, but not really. The Perron family kind of, for the most part, got used to it,
hmm
which is weird to say. Like, hey, my
Yeah.
daughter's talking to this kid in her closet. We get used to it though.
Although,
And
did the parents
although,
think it was something paranormal, or did they think it was just an imaginary friend?
well, assuming that this Oliver Richardson is an actual person that died, it probably just a spirit.
Yeah, but did the parents think it was a spirit, or did the parents think, oh, she just has an imaginary friend?
At first, they thought it was an imaginary friend.
Oh, at first.
Okay.
Yes. But then they were like, "Oh, this is an actual kid that she's talking to." So
Yeah.
I tried doing research on this Oliver Richardson, but I can't dig up anything on this kid.
Was it dead end?
It was a dead end.
No pun intended.
Oh my god.
I can't believe you just did that. Oh gosh.
You set it up for me.
I did.
You put
I
it down, I
did.
picked it up.
Oh wow. That's true. I put it down, you picked it up. There was like little sightings that they would have too, which is kind of big to me, but I guess small to them. Considering what they've been through, I guess it is small.
No, fair, yeah.
Yeah. But they would like see women dressed in like 17th century attire. Yeah. They would see like men in the house, seated in the dining room, things like that, which is also really weird. They said they considered the house to be a portal,
I
but
have heard that before.
yeah, they said, and I quote, "I always consider the house a portal, but not only a portal to the past, but to the future."
I don't like that.
Yeah, which is really interesting. I've never heard of like portals like that, I guess. I don't know. But the book writing process for Andrea was very long. Took the family really, as well as herself, 30 years to be able
Damn.
to share their story. Yeah.
You
I
know
mean, don't
what? I
blame
believe it
them.
though. Because there's so
Yeah.
many different perspectives.
hmm I kind of want to read this book now. Like, I want to see the next
Oh,
book on my bucket list.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you, Kyle?
What?
Would you read the book? Literally what we're talking about right now. Yes.
No.
Would you read the book?
He just said no.
No.
You wouldn't read the book?
See, that's if I could read, but
You can. You are literally in the book club.
yeah, no, I'd read the book.
Like we can create our own little book club, the three of us. Our
This is our
podcast
book club.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It's
We
basically-
read the books for the podcast.
Yes, exactly.
But not all three of us read them, just one of us. And then we share what we read.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So technically, it's
Okay.
kind of like cheating because we're getting 2 free books that we don't have to read.
But if I'm the one that's reading the book, I'm probably going to give you guys notes on it. I'm going to be real.
Is
Because
it
I'm
That's
about
horrible
fine.
at explaining things.
Well, no, you take the notes yourself, and then you can explain it. That's the point.
Mm, I could, yeah. That is the point. Yeah, I'll do that if we decide to do that.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll
Anyways,
discuss
we'll
it.
talk about it.
Discuss
Yeah,
it
we'll
as
talk
time
about it.
goes by.
yeah. Anyways, um, Andrea kind of described as writing the book as like, the more she talks about it, the more clarity it brings to her, which is good. So, although it was a very hard thing for her to do, it got easier with time, I guess, or every time she did
Yeah.
it. But 1980 was when they moved out of the house.
And when did they
Finally,
move in?
1971.
Oh, they were there for 9 years.
9 years, yeah. Going on 10.
Oh,
That's a lot for a haunting.
yeah.
Yeah.
How? Like, well,
And they
I
were
would
all
not
so
let it go
young.
on that long.
April, the youngest, was 5 when she moved
Wow.
in. Yeah. So, I don't know.
She grew up just like being terrorized. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's like a huge part of their lives now. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they can ever like deny that it happened.
No, for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah. Actually, there was one thing that I read saying, the mother once said, "We left the farm, but it will never leave us." So I think that just also goes to show like how they feel
Yeah.
and how like, I don't know. It's never gonna leave them. Yeah, like how she said. And that's really crazy to
You,
think about.
you can take the farmer out of the farm, but you can't take the farm out of the farmer.
Words to live
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
I know there's like a different saying when it comes to like cities and things like that, but you said farm, and that's the only thing that popped in my head.
Yeah, they lived in a farmhouse. So
9
you got
years.
it there. But it brought them clarity, I guess, in a way, living in there and having those experiences. It taught them a lot about life, death,
Mhm.
and the afterlife as well, is what I've heard. So overall, it wasn't it was a horrible experience, of course, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting thrown across a room, it wasn't a horrible
yeah,
experience.
I wasn't going to say it was a horrible experience, but it wasn't something that affected them in the long run, if that makes sense. They don't, they still live their lives.
That's interesting.
They're still doing
Like,
good.
like, great for them. But also,
Hmm.
it's like, how do you just move on from that?
Exactly. Yeah.
I would assume it's because they have each other to rely on.
Hmm.
That's true.
I mean, because if it was just like a single or a smaller like family that went through it, yeah, like I could see them being scarred for life. But it was how many in the family? 7 plus the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, 7 and a dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so they had each other to rely on, and like, I don't know, they were made out to be like insane or crazy or like
they
gaslight
had to
themselves out of it.
validate themselves. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they had the
Yeah.
validation from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to read the book so I can get to know a little bit more about it. I know the director for Conjuring read the books as well. So he kind of,
that's good though,
yeah.
as he should have.
Hmm. But that's really all I have for The Conjuring.
Well, thank
Nice. Well,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like a really nice refresher, and it's nice to know that the movie was mostly accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. I think that's a really good thing. Like I know movies can't capture everything because of, if it did, it probably would have been like a 5-6 hour long movie. I don't know. But like,
Yeah.
Part two, yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. But like the fact that they managed to put all that in there, and still be able to tell their story in a way that it did impact people, that's pretty good. Like like Andrea had said, it was beautifully done. So I do like that.
Good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I wonder like how much input they had with the movie though.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a decent amount if they got it like, that accurate, I guess.
True. Let's see.
Hollywood still cared. I mean, it wasn't that long ago either way. Maybe they still care, I just don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Hollywood's running out of ideas.
Yeah, they're like, you know what, let's try it your way.
There's so many like random movies that are coming out now. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
There's the Beekeeper with Jason Statham and
I knew
Josh
you were gonna bring it up. I knew you were gonna bring it up.
It's Josh Hutcherson. I love Josh. I mean, he's a good actor.
Do you follow him on social media?
No.
Why was there a pause?
1997.
You definitely follow him.
I do.
Oh my god.
I found out he's into so many different music styles that I like too. If you guys want to follow him, J Hutch 1992. Putting it out there.
Oh my god.
Anyways, I just think he's a cool actor.
I thought he was supposed to sponsor us, and now you're sponsoring him.
Oh, yeah. Well, how is he going to return the favor? You know what I'm saying?
Everyone tag him. Get his attention.
Josh Hutcherson. I don't like him. He's okay. He's an alright actor.
Okay.
Anyways.
Is that a wrap?
Is that a wrap?
For you, for your story.
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, did you wrap it up?
Thanks for listening.
Okay. We still have one more story.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for listening to my story.
It sounded like you were saying goodbye.
No. I was trying to transition into the next story.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello?
We'll
yeah.
Okay. Transitions eventually.
So,
what do you have to tell us, Kyan?
You guys went way more into detail than I thought we were gonna go.
Honestly, I put everything in a Word document, and it's 7 pages, but it's double spaced. I think that's what it's called. Is it?
Double spaced? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. I love double space.
So it probably, I don't know. Go. Okay, anyway, I don't know where I'm going.
I just wrote it down. So.
See, the thing is, in my case, there's actually not that much documentation of it. It is about it's about an Australian. Wait, do that again?
No, stop.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Was it
yes.
really?
It was actually kind of good, yeah.
I'll just say it for you. I'll tell the story for you in my Australian accent.
Whoa! You know what? Okay. We could be falling in love with your Australian accent, and someone from Australia is going to be like, "That's so off."
Dude, you should have started this podcast introduce yourself with that accent.
You should have. No, I gotta do a Romanian accent.
What even is a Romanian accent?
Oh my God, you disgust me. You have to do more research on accents because the Romanian accent is beautiful and I can't do it. I can't do it
Yet.
yet. Exactly. Thank you, Jay.
That's amazing.
Anyways, Australian serial killer.
Australian. So his name is Paul Stephen Hay. He is perhaps Australia's most known, most brutal serial killer that they've ever had.
But there's not lots of documentation.
Yeah, but without lots of documentation of his early life, at least.
Okay.
Yes. So he doesn't really have too much backstory. So he's a serial killer. He, within a span of about, I don't know, little under 15 years or so, he murdered 7 victims. He was born September 5th, 1957. And so he was around like 21, when sort of like his first kind of crimes did start. So yeah, he was actually raised only by his mother until he was 3 months old. And then after that, he got adopted, where he lived in a home for about 14 years. Now, while he was growing up, like his dad tried to contact him, but very barely. It did not lead to any relationships. His mom also tried to contact him, but yeah, nothing happened again. Yeah. So yeah, he was raised as an only child, no siblings. And so basically, while he was being raised, he was not really a social kid, which is not surprising. Yeah, so he was raised in like a youth training center, and this didn't really serve him very much. Yeah, he had lots of like academic, social problems in his time, got disciplined a lot when he was younger. So yeah, did 14 years of schooling, and then in 1978 is when he first sort of started his killings.
How old was he during that time?
During what time?
21, you said.
When he started.
Yeah, so he was about 20, 21 when he sort of started his killings.
Okay.
Now, let's see, where do I start? So, for all his killings, he actually was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole, and he still is in prison to this day there in Australia.
Why was he
I don't know. Why was he sentenced? So he eventually was convicted of his murders of those people, and so I'll kind of start to get into those murders now in just a little bit.
I thought you said that. I don't know. I thought I misheard. I was like, he got sentenced before his killings, and I'm like, wait, what?
Actually, he did though. Which is kind of funny you bring that up. So before he actually got sentenced for his killings, he had been in and out of prison for like robberies and armed holdups and things like that. So he was never really a good person. It wasn't like one day he sort of just snapped. Well, I guess he did, but he had always involved in crime before that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he, started with thefts, robberies, vehicle break-ins, and of course armed robberies as well. And then, he got on parole after some of his first armed robberies in 1978, but that parole didn't stop him from joining in another armed robbery. And it was actually...
Love that for you, man.
Exactly. He really just couldn't keep himself out of trouble. So, yes, he, in this armed robbery, he murdered two of the workers there. It was actually at a pizza shop. He murdered
Why? Why
I have
would
no
you
clue.
It's because he didn't get the pepperonis he wanted.
Exactly.
You know what? No, I think it's because he heard that they had the dough.
Oh God, that was such a no. Grown or foul right there, man.
Okay, carry on.
So yeah, he did murder in the pizza shop operator. His name was Bruno Cingolani. He was 45 years old, father of two, and he also murdered another woman named Evelyn Adams. And so it sort of just
sorry,
not that
sorry.
Evelyn, not that Evelyn.
Sorry, continue.
So in these robberies, it never really, he didn't plan for it to end with murder. And actually later on, he did sort of write an essay and he gave some recounts of the reasons why he made these murders. And when he murdered Evelyn and Bruno, he said that he had murdered them because the two of them simply just didn't follow his instructions.
That's what I was
What?
robbery gone wrong. Well, not
They
wrong, but like not how he wanted it.
Exactly. They weren't acting how he wanted them to. Yeah. And ultimately he said that it was their fault that they died because, he gave them the chance to, but they didn't live up to his expectations while being threatened with a gun.
Did he look like intimidating or not?
Honestly, no. He just kind of looks like a guy from the 70s.
That's what most serial killers look like, to be honest.
Okay. No, but like if he didn't look intimidating, I think that contributes to it and kind of explains it.
Yeah, it does.
That's true. I don't know. And so I think that sort of just sets the tone of like the type of person that he was. He seemed very, very egotistical, very cold. And a lot of the times he described his murders as simply him just like defending himself. He didn't want to go back to prison or, they knew too much or anything like that. So yeah, he killed Evelyn and Bruno. Now in 1979, a year after, Paul did actually murder a few more people after that. So he was working with a man named Keith Smith. He was an associate where he was working at. And then also Keith Smith's former girlfriend, her name was Cheryl Gardner. So he thought that the two of them knew too much about his past crimes. I don't know why, I don't know really why he believed that, but he definitely believed that, they knew all about what he had done in his past robberies, with the killings. And so one day he just shot them. He shot Cheryl right in front, right outside, like her home. So yeah, when he did shoot Cheryl, she was actually also there, I believe, with her 10-year-old son. And so he did end up murdering Danny Mitchell. He was 10 years old, and he was Cheryl Gardner's son.
No.
Yeah. But I think the craziest part about that is that he made Danny watch him kill his mom. He didn't want to kill Danny, the little boy. He actually consoled him right after killing his mom.
No.
And said that he was gonna be okay. But he realized that, Danny could identify him. So he went and shot him right in the back of the head. So it just goes to show again that it's like, I don't know, he didn't want to kill, but he felt he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like Joe.
He didn't see another way out.
Exactly. So another murder he did in 1979, actually. He, probably like his most brutal attack, because this time it wasn't with a gun, it was with a knife. He killed his own girlfriend, Lisa Brearley, who was 19.
And how
So,
old was he?
1979, so he was still 21 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. He stabbed her.
Times.
No, she was 19. He stabbed
19.
her a whole lot more than 19 times.
Oh.
He stabbed her 157 times.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Uh,
So he did a lot of damage, and that's why it's probably his most brutal attack that he has. Yeah. And that's actually, yeah. Yeah.
That just means that there was a coroner who had to count every single
stab wound,
wondering when he would stop counting them, or she would stop counting them. Wow.
Yeah. And so he did stab her after he allowed another man to actually rape her at knife point as well.
God.
So she went out in a very bad way. So after this, though, he was convicted. He was sent to jail for multiple life sentences without parole.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seemed like he, started to spend his days in jail. And he did, and it wasn't until 1991. So,
whoa.
Yeah, 12 years later, that he actually did murder another inmate in jail as well.
He wasn't done.
Exactly.
No, he was not.
But the interesting thing about this, though, is that he actually claimed that, so the inmate that he murdered, his name was Donald Hatherley. And so Hay actually claimed that it was an assisted suicide while in jail. Yeah, so he said that Donald Heatherly, the other inmate, asked him to put a noose around his neck and then kick out like a cupboard from under him to basically hang him. And so that's what Hay kind of details about it. But Hay was still found guilty and convicted of that extra murder of Donald Hatherley as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's murder. And also I feel like anyone could use that excuse.
Right? It's like, I don't know. I guess it could have been, but why would they ever believe him, He did ultimately murder another person in jail. Yeah.
Was that his last murder?
That was, yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually interesting, though.
Because you said he was still in prison, right?
Yeah, he was still in prison.
Yeah, so, I hate to say it, but to be determined.
I mean, he definitely could. I know what you meant was he could kill someone else, but the first thought that came to my mind was that he somehow breaks out of jail and then goes on and then goes on another murder spree. But it's definitely just he would kill another inmate. Yeah, I really hope he doesn't.
Let's hope that was his last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so later on, while Hay was in jail, he did write and speak about his killings in some video recordings on paper as well. So when he was talking about his the victims from the pizza shop, Evelyn Abraham and Bruno Cingolani, he said his victims, quote, "Actions resulted in dependents losing them," and quotes, "and they should have sufficient control of themselves for the span of the offense to enable the crime to go its ugly way." So
No.
basically, he said that they should have just let everything happen, and because they didn't, that's why he had to kill them.
I'm pretty sure the girlfriend I mean, she wasn't really fighting that. There was two men in front of her, one with a knife, the other one on top
Oh,
of her.
well, yeah, no, yes, but this was for the two workers in the pizza shop when he
Okay.
killed them. So when he was just robbing that pizza shop.
They had families.
And that is sort of how it goes when he recounts lots of his killings. Like he
Take
says that he so one of his quotes that he said was quotes, owning fully the terrible and regrettable things I have done to mangle my victims' lives and happiness, it is nevertheless up to them to move on.
No,
So it's like,
I mean,
it's like
yes,
he's saying he's taking,
but it shouldn't get to that.
yes, it's like he's saying that he takes responsibility, but in the exact same sentence, he just like blames them for what he does.
Yeah, it's like it's your fault for not moving on.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah. So he has another quote about it's so interesting reading these quotes he has, because some of them are just so cold and calloused, and I guess that's exactly what makes a serial killer a serial killer.
Yeah.
But he did stab his girlfriend Lisa 157 times, and he said, quote, amazingly, it seems I stabbed her 157 times, end quote. And it's like, even he's surprised by that. Even he's like, oh, wow.
That's but cool. Like, it's not like he's ashamed. Yeah, like he's like, that's kind of like surprisingly cool. What?
Yeah.
No. I'm glad he's behind bars.
Yeah, and he said he killed her because she became a loose end because she knew too much about his earlier killings.
Yo, don't get her involved.
Yeah, or just don't kill.
No, seriously.
Let's go with that one.
That's just me.
I like your option better.
Thank you. I do too. Wait, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
you. Okay.
You're not muted.
And I don't know. I Lisa, his girlfriend's murder is definitely different from the other ones because it's the only one that he used a knife with. So it was definitely what?
Sorry. Go on.
What? No, what did you say?
Go on.
Okay. All right. But yeah, he used a gun for all of his other murders, or when he was in prison, he helped hang his fellow inmate with a noose. But in this one, he used a knife, and I think that just points to him sort of having a little less control in this killing. And I wonder if that's because it was his girlfriend, and maybe he still had some like extra passions against her, or anything like that.
Do you know? I mean,
that's so bad.
She got murdered in, like, at their own place. Like, it wasn't out on the streets or anything, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it was somewhat planned because he would have to bring a guy over.
Yeah.
True.
But so he does have a quote. He says, quote, I hadn't stabbed anyone to death before. She fought surprisingly hard, and this fazed me. Because of this, when she was finally still, I decided to stab her more in order to make sure she was dead.
Oh my God.
Kind of like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Let me just keep going.
Exactly. So like even if it was planned, he just didn't know what he was doing.
And that's why he's behind bars.
Yeah.
Also, it sounds like he didn't know what he was doing for any other robberies or any of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So sort of now in his past years in prison, though, he sort of tried to move on and make peace in a way. He's tried for parole. appeal to lessen his sentence multiple times throughout the years, but most of the time it was denied.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else I need to share?
I don't know. It's your story.
Any other thoughts you guys have?
No, that was it for that one. At least from my point of view, or my thoughts.
Yeah, me
Cool.
too.
Yeah, you too.
Me too.
You too. You sure?
Me too.
You sure?
Yeah, what he said.
Nice.
Why is everyone laughing?
Because
I mean,
I
I'm just-
want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2012, he actually did appeal to the court to sort of seek an early release, and he, while he was doing that, he told the court, quote, "I don't claim to be more than a struggling student of life, and that he was a far cry from the monster of yesteryear." So it really seemed like he really thought he was working on himself while he was in prison, but it's like, you know, how much are we going to believe him?
Yeah.
No. I'm glad he didn't get parole.
I mean, fun fact though, he actually said that he did a lot of mushrooms in jail.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes him
I need to go to
him even
jail.
less.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe that's why he feels so like enlightened now, you know?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
No, he's just drugged.
Yeah. He's just drugged.
No, I'm sorry.
That makes it. Oh, never mind. I shouldn't say that.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
This is going to be out there for everyone to hear. So.
It is.
Okay. Keep it to yourself until next episode.
What a nice transition.
Yeah, well,
I ruined
those
it
are
now.
the 3 stories.
3 stories. Woo! For the Chamber of the Occult podcast. Woo!
Thanks to everyone for listening in.
Thank you guys so much. Definitely a little bit of a rocky start, I would say. But I had a lot of
Stick with
fun.
us.
I hope you all did
And-
as well.
Yeah, it was actually really cool to like learn more info from you guys. I kind of
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
because it's not like reading it off a book. It's like you're telling me a story.
Mhm. Yeah, what they said.
Is it past your bedtime?
No.
I think it is for
Actually,
her.
I already woke up. So
Okay, got it.
it's wake up time.
That's breakfast. time.
Wake up. It's the
Yeah,
first of the month. It's not the first of the month.
Well,
It's
thanks
the-
for listening, everyone. Sorry, I
thank you.
interrupted y'all.
No, you're fine.
No worries.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and hopefully you join us for the next episode.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Feel free to follow us in our social medias, Instagram at Chambers of the Occult. We have Facebook page at Chambers of the Occult. Check out the website if you have paranormal or true crime stories to submit to us. Eventually we'll do a listener episode. Or if you have recommendations for us to do as well, check out the website or just email us at chambersoftheoccult@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.